It's simple, really. Great stories with a good cup of tea. It's the Tea with Mike show. On this episode of the show, Raymond Salgado stops by. Topics of conversation include music, musical theatre, and also music and performance. So as always, grab a cup of tea, sit back, and enjoy. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Tea with Mike show. Joining me for this one is singer, songwriter, and I'm sure he has many other talents, which I hope to discover today. Please welcome to the Tea with Mike show from Vancouver, Raymond Salgado. Welcome to Tea with Mike, man.
So much for having me. I really appreciate it so much.
Yeah, no worries, man. So I'll give it away a little bit, but So you were born and raised on Vancouver Island. So first off, do you want to let's talk about what was it like growing up on Vancouver Island?
Very peaceful. There's a very tight-knit community, but everyone's just so welcoming. Like whenever I'd go to the park or go on a walk, everyone's just like saying hello to me, and you really like see that a lot. So like it's a very welcoming city. So I really um enjoyed a lot and seeing a lot of the landscapes and um the tourist spots in Nanaimo. So
Nice. Yeah. So what was it like growing up? Did you spend a lot of time like outdoors? Because you just mentioned the environment. What were the kind of like some of your favorite spots to visit?
well, I love going to this park. As a child, I would always go to Swayalana growing up, and I remember growing up when there were events happening, summer events. There would be a lot of music and a lot of activities, spending time with family. Sometimes they would throw like a day where we would be watching fireworks in the evening, so that was always a nice time to go see friends and just be social and yeah, just spending time with my family.
Nice. So what were so obviously you talked about some of the good things about growing up in this particular location. What were some of the downsides to growing up where you
Some of the
lived?
downsides. I mean, I think that my parents have always, taught me to just, be grateful with any like, situation in life because, there's people who like do go through a lot more, and I've really just been thankful to be raised well, to just be thankful and to appreciate everything in front of me. So, you know, with that, because life is always full of challenges, and sometimes we just have to make those adaptations and make the best out of it. So I really just try to think of that, and you know, because I mean, as a child, I didn't even know that I had the ability to sing. So I was more quiet about a lot of things, and music just really gave me a voice to speak about certain subjects that I would be very uncomfortable talking about. So um, overall, I just make the best out of everything, and always count my blessings because you know, I just believe that when it comes to life challenges, it can be very, very dark sometimes. And, with everything that's going on in the world, it's such a very unique time. And so I've just been taking the time to really find myself, keep myself grounded, stay in contact with people that I care about, and, it's bonding with my mom and dad and my sister. So it's just, you know, we just have to kind of be positive, try our best to be positive, and just make.
Nice. And so, what were kind of some of your earliest memories of hearing music?
Um, I want to say at the age of 3, I think, my mom and my like just like my family would just play a lot of music in the house. We had karaoke. And as a child, I'd just be always singing along to the songs, even though if I didn't like know the lyrics, I'd just be like mumbling the words. And yeah, I was just like watching videos of me actually recently and just, because I feel like at that time, as a child, like you're growing up and then it's just like, okay, what are your interests? What is he gonna end up doing, right? And I mean, I had no idea even being in elementary school, I was always put into to sports, which like never really like stuck with me. Like I did taekwondo at one point. I did like Friday night basketball and lacrosse too, but like it would never really stick with me. So then by the like age of 11, I got put into this like talent show and it was kind of like a forced thing, because like moms or parents are like wanting their kids to be more active and doing activities. So at that time, I was so inexperienced and I did had no idea about performing or what to do on stage, even just like singing wise. It was also new to me. But I joined this talent show when I was 11 and I was put up with these like really, really talented people. And I wouldn't have expected to win my category, which I did when I was 11. And I sang the song Ben by the Jackson 5. And um, Michael Jackson has always been such a huge inspiration to me growing up and watching a lot of his live performances like on DVD on YouTube and listening to just his incredible voice and talent and like seeing his energy on the stage, it just always like intrigued me because like he always came out with so much confidence. And I remember looking up to him being like, I want to be just like him one day and like to sing in front of people and, write music and hear my songs, on the radio hopefully one day.
Nice. And so, is there a strong history of musicians in your family, or are you breaking the trend?
It's crazy. I went to the Philippines last year and I got to meet a lot of extended family. And um, honestly, I feel like a lot of us are very talented, like musically, like on both sides of the family. Like I do hear it on both sides of the family. So like my dad's family, my mom's side as well. There's not really like any singers that I know who's like fully pursued what I'm doing. So I think I am the first to pursue something so like, risky, but I just love doing it so much. So um yeah, but a lot of people are, you know, medical school or, something more academic and but yeah, like most of my cousins and relatives do sing really well. So I think it is really on both sides. Even my sister sings and she's a dancer as well and she's done musical theater. So it is in the family.
Nice. And I would agree with you in the sense of, I guess not necessarily maybe breaking the trends the wrong word, but finding
Yeah.
something that you love to do and turning it into something that you can invest 100% as much time as possible in the day to. Like there's definitely no podcast hosts in my family. We got some doctors and teachers and architects and lots of glassware engineers and lots of great professions, but nothing close to on like anything like creative. So I guess that's exciting because I'm finding like what I love to do and just
Mm.
navigating the journey. And I guess it comes down to belief a lot, right? A lot of the time, like, and there's no one way to do it, so there isn't a little handbook that somebody can like hand you, right? So
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that a lot. Because I think one of my teachers, actually, my drama teacher, was telling me that, like, when I sing, there's just so much passion, and, like, that's something that you can't teach somebody. And so, you know, it's so weird because sometimes I'll be thinking I'll just be at home and it's just like, should I be doing something more realistic or should I just like continue singing and performing and doing something that I truly love? So, uh, you know, people like her and just all my peers and people that I've worked with, you know, I'm just so grateful to have such a big support system that really believes in my potential and in my talent. Because, you know, a lot of people sometimes they don't have that. So I am super grateful to have like such a tight-knit community, even just like my family, my mom and dad and my sister, you know. So it's really nice to have that.
That's fantastic. And then, so do you remember like when you were younger, like how singing kind of made you feel inside? So for example, do you remember feeling anything after getting off the stage performing at the talent show when you were 11?
I think it was such a vague thing because it was so long ago, but I think that at that time I was so unaware of what I had. And you know, my parents always taught me to be like humble and, you know, but be proud and be happy. And but at that time I was so unaware until I really just went to voice lessons with Andrea Bertram, and I trained with her for the last, you know, 10 years, classically doing opera and cross training of musical theater, and also like doing like my contemporary and pop, which I definitely love that genre a lot. But yeah, it took me a while. I think at 13 I remember competing at this competition, and this was the first competition um, that I got to go and compete with people across BC. So it was called the Performing Arts of British Columbia, and basically they have this competition every year where, you know, singers, dancers, um, I think even actors too, and a lot of like instruments. It's all this big festival, so you can watch a lot of like great, just great entertainment. And it was my first time. I was 13. I got nominated to go into the musical theater category. And from that point, I realized how much music has given me a platform to to be confident in myself and to just try new things, because at the time I was always so quiet and I always kind of was in this space because, you know, as a child when you're 13 and growing up, like there's a lot of things you're still trying to figure out yourself and your passions. And so at 13 that was probably like a pivotal moment of my life, because I just continued on with the singing and then doing more with my singing. So then, you know, with high school, I did a lot of music productions. I played Donkey and Shrek, and that was like so much fun to play. And doing Les Mis, and I played Valjean, and you know, it's usually so nerve-wracking to just even speak to people. And because I remember growing up when we had these assignments in class where we had to present stuff, and I'd always be so anxious and so nervous to speak in class because I was just so awkward and just, I don't know, just very insecure. And performing just really broke me out of my shell. So I really thank like musical theater and, you know, my teachers and just voice lessons, everything, because it got me to where I am today. I'm really,
And nice. So we're gonna have a little tea fact.
yeah.
So the love the enthusiasm.
Let's do
Yeah.
it.
So the tea fact for the episode is the most oxidized. So this is to do with the most oxidized tea. So compared to other types of tea, black tea undergoes the most oxidation processes, and for a good reason. So most of the tea experts believe that black tea is actually at the end of the spectrum for its ability to produce a more potent flavor. So I definitely like potent tea, as my favorite tea is Yorkshire tea, and that's a very strong black tea. So on the contrary, the white tea is at the opposite end of the spectrum because it's like basically the least oxidized. And this comes from topictea.com/blogs/tea blog/30 interesting facts about
I'm learning
tea.
today, so I didn't even know that. So it's so interesting. Like I feel like every day I'm always learning something. So that was actually a very interesting fact because like you know I like drinking tea especially because I'm a singer, so I drink lots of it.
What's your favorite
And
type of tea?
I love peach mango. I love like drinking chamomile, and there's a few others, but those are like the top two that I've been drinking right now. How about you?
Well, like I mentioned, and we were talking about a little bit before we went on air, like definitely Yorkshire tea. It's made by a brand called Taylor's in England, so I guess I'm a little biased, but you know when you find those things that you like and you don't want to ever change. Not that we're going to be
Yes.
talking about like alcohol, but like it's literally like if you were to find a bowl of like red wine that you like and you always buy it just because you like it so much. That's how I feel about tea.
I love that. Yeah, that's how I feel about like certain like I guess when it comes to food because I love you know I love Japanese food and like sushi and pho and just yeah I'm a food appreciator so I understand. Like you
That's
order
it.
that same like thing on the menu every time because like you just love it so much.
Nice. So put you on the spot here. So how much tea do you drink in a day, a week, and a month? Or it?
It depends because usually like because some teas are like drying for the voice, so I have to find like the right tea. So usually I'll have like throat coat or I'll have um honey with like lemon and hot water and then but sometimes like if I am going to sing somewhere, like I'll usually have like ginger and lemon tea for my voice to go to. And like with tea, I mean, it just really depends because like if it really does soothe the voice. So um, I really just like whenever I'm singing, I'm just usually just water or tea on the side, especially if I am sick or having dealing with a cold. So it's always nice to have that.
Nice. So obviously, because we've spoken about this a little bit before, I know that you're influenced by so many different artists of all different genres and backgrounds. But
Yeah.
I guess I want to know who was the first musician that inspired you, or even like genre of music.
Let me think. Well, I would say growing up, there was always different types of music. There was like kind of like a rock pop thing that in my house, like Bryan Adams, Journey, Shania Twain. But what started me to sing was like really Michael Jackson, honestly, just like his range and just how he like moved on stage and just commanded the stage was so inspiring to me and like it really just made me wanna perform. And actually, what else was another one? Like I listen to a lot of Mariah Carey, Sam Smith, Bruno Mars, and those people are phenomenal vocalists, especially Mariah Carey, because I really just love her story about where she came from nothing and now she's very successful.
So it's my understanding that you studied under somebody by the name of Andrea Bertram in the area of classical music. So do you want to talk to us a little bit about how that opportunity came about, and also maybe a little bit about what you learned from the experience?
Okay, so actually, so funny story. So at the talent show that I was singing at, she was actually one of the judges. So I don't know how my mom got in contact with her, but I think it was through the the organizer of the talent show. And so I remember actually the first lesson, and she told me, she was like, yeah, you have like, you have a good voice, you have so much potential. And um, I think the first focus of that lesson was learning how to hold a mic, and also looking at the audience, because she noticed when I was at the talent show, my eyes were like everywhere. And at that time, it was just my first time performing, and I don't usually perform in public solo, because usually I'd just be doing, karaoke with, excuse me, with family and friends. So I didn't really have much, experience. So she really taught me how to perform. And with competing, it gave me a lot of experience to, uh, you know, how to react when there's, when you're in front of an audience, and how to, you know, get rid of nerves. She also helped me find my range, and just pushed me to try new things, because as much as I was so passionate about learning pop and R&B, she told me that I need to learn, the fundamentals of that, like, how the voice works, like doing warm-ups, and how much warm-ups really play into your repertoire. And when it came to the classical training, because I'd also be, I mentioned that I was a part of a competition, um, and usually if I made it to provincial level, then the two categories would be musical theater and classical. And like the first time I did do the competition, it was musical theater, and then the rest of the many years following, it would just be classical. And it really helped me, and it disciplined me, because there's so much discipline when it comes to classical. You have to be so accurate to the page, and follow a lot of like the music markings. And when it came to singing in different languages like German, Italian, sometimes Latin, and a couple of times French, which French was never really my strong suit, but I always loved singing in German and Italian. And yeah, if it wasn't for her, and also like at that time when I think I was 16 or 15, we were like really running low on money. And it's so expensive. Lessons are very expensive. And she told me that, like, do you want to continue singing? I'm like, yes, I would. I want to, because like, this is something that I'm passionate about. But what really got to me was like when she did believe in me. And uh she has always been such a huge support with everything that I do. So I really thank her for everything that she's taught me, because just wouldn't be the singer and performer that I am today. And just trying new experiences with music is, yeah, just really pushing boundaries sometimes, because we can get so comfortable in one thing, specific thing. But then it got me to learn more, and just appreciate music so much.
Nice. And so, do you try and live by the philosophy of pushing boundaries? And is that maybe a small reason why you've cross-trained in so many different styles and genre of music?
I think that when you try new things, and things that, maybe seem uncomfortable in the beginning, it actually, you grow more from those experiences. And the more that I did like classical musical theater, and then singing like pop and R&B, um, it's given me a lot to think about, because like the techniques between those three genres are so different. So um, it can get confusing sometimes, because I remember competing a lot in like the regional festival in my town, and they would say like by the first I guess performance, because there was so many songs that I would have to perform in so many categories. So like we'd have like the classical category, and then we'll have one night where it's musical theater, and then there'd be like a pop category. So they would ask like, "Are you a pop singer?" I'm like, "Yes." And because like I was so influenced by pop music growing up, and then I learned more to be more disciplined with the type of, music that I'm doing. So like, in classical, you wouldn't like just go on a tangent and start riffing as you would in like pop music and R&B. So it was just very like hard for me to understand for a few years. And then I finally got the hang of it. Because I thought with singing, you're just, standing there and you're just singing a song, but there's so much more. It comes to like understanding the context, and then, technique with a breathing, and I mean, a lot of other things really. So, it really also, because like I feel like, some singers too, like have that specific, one genre. And you know, I feel like with me, I've always just like focused on the vocals and performing. And like, I want to say that I'm first and foremost a vocalist before being a writer or like playing piano, because I do play piano as well. So I don't know, it's just very interesting how like all of that works and comes together really. But it's made me appreciate music so much more because there's just so many styles of music. So.
Also, what are a couple of specific strategies that you've learned to be able to like weave seamlessly between different genres and styles? How do you go from singing Italian opera to an R&B? Like
Track.
that's so
Yeah,
different.
it is so different. Uh, well, it's funny. So my teacher, Andrea, she would always nag me. Like whenever she heard like a poppy note, she would always be like, Raymond, you're like sliding, or you're, it's a very poppy way of singing it. And so I really had to like remind myself. And actually, during a few competitions, I think growing up when I was like almost maybe even like 15 or 16, I don't even remember, but I remember where she was just like, okay, you're not going to sing any pop music until the competition is over. So I really had to train and discipline myself. And, but with singing with classical, because it's more different to like pop, and like contemporary, that type of style, it's very with classical, it's all about the technique and adding the, how do I say this, I guess following what's on the sheet really, because I think in classical it's more like you need to follow the script other than pop and R&B. But sometimes like if you're doing like a romantic opera, because Broke is more like specific other than like romantic opera. So there's like two different things with that. And because like in romantic opera it's more dramatic and you can like, ornament more, so like riffing more. And then with Broke, it's you kind of are following like what's on the sheet. So um yeah, I mean, I don't mind either genre, but like obviously I love singing more pop R&B. But then the classical training has really taught me to preserve my voice in the right way, because I know that regardless of, what I do with my music, I'm always going to have that with me. So it's good to know things to look out for, like unhealthy habits, and always, keeping check within myself. And the human voice is so interesting because, sleep, the way you eat, drinking water, it really affects your voice. So I really have to consistently tell myself, especially if there's like a performance that I'm preparing for, I need to like be healthy, have a lot of rest in between, and, just the muscle memory of it. So there's a lot that goes into it that I feel like a lot of people aren't aware about, because like, you know, as singers, like apparently we just stand there and sing, but there's so much more to it. So um, it's just like really just keeping healthy like a athlete would, you know, and uh, you know, just making sure that you're taking care of your voice properly.
Nice. And for those of us, amongst us that aren't too familiar with specific musical terms, what is riffing?
Riffing, well, so basically a riff, if I were to do like a riff, it's almost like a scale. So it's like if I were to sing like um that's like kind of like a riff, you know? And I remember for classical it would be like, let's see, like it's more different, like let me see, because I haven't sang classical in a while, so it's like let me think of a song. um Wherever you walk. And then it's, oh, I forgot the song. It's been so long. But it's just really like a group of notes in one section, one bar, two bars, you know. It can be like a little like thing, a little trill. The trills runs, they're like kind of the same context.
Love it, man. So obviously, you've also integrated your vocal talents into the world of theater and musical theater.
Yeah.
So tell us some stories. What are some like memorable moments that you've had from the world of entertainment and theater, and what have you learned from these moments?
Mm-hmm. You know, I think there's one thing, because I'm such a huge perfectionist when it comes to performing, and I was always so hard on myself. I still am to this day, and my teacher would would say too, like, yeah, you are, and would agree and say like, yeah, you are definitely too hard on myself. Like I'm so hard on myself and such a huge perfectionist. And so I've learned that, you know, through time of performing and experiencing, it's definitely given me a lot of insight and a lot of things to work on, especially um I think I got this comment uh where I I think it was my first competition, and they said that, could you remove your glasses? And I was like wondering why, because you know, in singing, uh people want to like look at your eyes, you know, and because you're telling a story, and your job is to tell a story and to, you know, put those emotions and like, you know, have people listen to that. So for a lot of the competitions that I was doing, I would remove my glasses so that people could see my eyes and know that I'm being emotional, you know. So
Yeah, it's true though. It's true.
yeah.
It sounds corny and cliche, but it is true because you are trying to tell the story of whatever that may be, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice. So what, I guess, what is your favorite musical theater like play? That's you know what I'm saying, don't you?
Yes, I do. Yeah. I mean, there's so
Favorite musical
many.
theater piece? I don't know. Like,
Yeah. I think one of my favorite songs that I used to sing a lot, well, one of them, because I sing a lot of like musical theater, especially with competitions. I did a lot of, um, how do I say this? I think hmm, that's such a hard question, but I think my favorite musical that I did was Les Mis. And when I found out that we were doing Les Mis, I was like, this is a high school. Like, usually no one would do such like a very demanding, vocally demanding, and it's like, you know, it's a 2 hour long show. So um, I was like really surprised when we chose it, but I was so excited because a lot of the music in that musical is so beautiful. Like Bring Him Home um, is one of my favorite songs from the musical, and it's a solo that I do in like the second act. And that was always like one of my favorite songs performing. that, but there were so many like hard pieces and it's so technical. And um, for myself, like I mean, I was really proud because like a 16-year-old wouldn't really play a grown man in a show
Right.
usually. So, being able to have the opportunity to play a role that was like out of my comfort zone and something that's not me, you know, was interesting. So thank Russell Berg for choosing the musical for us. And I've um, been um I guess ever since the last year of high school, yeah, I've been in a lot of productions, musical theater productions with him, and it got me to meet new people and share the same passions with people too. So, yeah, it was always such like a fun time. It was always such a nice environment as well, and everyone was just like really family and so supportive of one another. And that's what really music is all about, is just bringing people together and, just having fun.
Have you ever considered doing it professionally?
Yeah, with where I'm at with, music, I'm always gonna write songs. I'm always, gonna perform. And I've always been so open to possibly like singing, maybe even doing community theater, like going back into doing musicals when, things are open and, things are, normal. But yeah, like musical theater, I've always dreamed of singing for Disney. I would always watch those movies, like growing up, and like shows like Glee or The Greatest Showman. And
Love The Greatest Showman.
yeah, so
It's probably
good.
my favorite movie of the last few years.
Yes, so good. I love the music in it. And just the whole vocal of that soundtrack is incredible. So, yeah.
So, for the people that are tuning in from Canada, they may have seen you a few years ago grace their television screens. So,
Yes.
do you want to talk to us a little bit about your time and your experience on the Canadian TV show The Launch?
Yeah. It's so crazy because when I first saw the ad for it, I was like, I mean, you never know if you try. So I just literally submitted an audition tape, and I was such a nerd about it because every day I'd be anxiously waiting for an email back. And I was just like, I hope that they like it, or they tell me like, this is what you can work on, because I always love like hearing constructive criticism. But yeah, I did not expect to be a part of the series, and it was like the first season too, so it was such an honor to be a part of it. Um, I remember, I think driving home from a competition, and me and my mom, and then like there was like my aunt and my friend, we were just in the car. Well, they went inside to get something in the gas station, and me and my friend were in the car. And I just came home from a competition, and I didn't really do as well as I thought that, like, and I wished to do at this competition. And so I was really bummed out about it. But then I got Wi-Fi reception at the gas station, and I saw an email about like them being interested in casting me into the show, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, like this is amazing, because I didn't even expect to even be a part of it, because there's so much talent in Canada, and so I didn't know how many people auditioned, but apparently 10,000 people auditioned for the show, and I was like
Wow.
one out of 30 people who auditioned. So I thought that was just so mind-blowing, and I was just so ecstatic and just ready to, learn a new experience, have a new experience.
Yes, and so what happened? I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah.
So what's the format? What happened on the show? What's the
Yes.
grand prize? Who
Hmm.
did you meet? And I guess how are you maybe even still using some of those connections that you made
Yeah.
fast forwarding to today?
So basically, the format of the show is, um, so in each episode, I believe there's about 6 people who audition for the show, and they get the chance to sing a song, a hit song that is already made. So basically, if you were like the chosen two, then you got to record the song and you had to do it within like 48 hours and then perform it in front of a live audience. Unfortunately, I didn't make it to that round, but the overall experience of it really taught me a lot because I got to meet Boy George, who's like a huge icon, and Stefan Macchio, who has worked with Celine Dion, The Weeknd, and a lot of other Canadian artists as well. And then I got to meet the former head of Big Machine Records, Scott Borchetta, who's worked with megastars like Taylor Swift. So it was a huge, you know, opportunity for me to just show my talent. And never did I think in a million years that I would, you know, ever be a part of a series like this. And I hope one day I get to do another thing like that because it was fun, but it was so nerve-wracking too, knowing that this was going to be, you know, televised and a lot of people would be watching. So it was a huge learning thing because I remember, you know, being so bummed out because I didn't make it to the round that I intended to wanting to make it. But Boy George was just telling me how, you know, like there's no doubt that you have the type of voice to sing anything you want. And, you know, he told me to keep working on, you know, taking your time with the music and emoting more and um you know they were all really nice. They all had a lot of nice things to say, honestly. And even Stefan Mokio was saying how, you know, it's crazy because like some of the licks that I was doing in my audition, it almost felt like it was too perfect. Like the tuning of my voice was perfect, and that was such a huge compliment for me because I'm always like so specific about how I sound. And yeah, so like hearing those, especially from people who've been in the industry for so long, hearing their like words of wisdom and advice they gave to me really helped me and pushed me to, you know, just be the best that I can be. And um, yeah, it was so much fun. I mean, it was such a different format to like the second season because they had a second season, and so when I was on the show. I wasn't really allowed to socialize with the other contestants because there was this like weird like rule that we couldn't because
Oh, that's
you
strange.
know, which was really strange, but in the second season they did. But right after you know, when press was coming out and talking about the show, I got to like talk to a few people from the show, like people on my episode and people that were on other people's episodes and watching the show every night. So, um yeah, I mean, and then I think my favorite experience was really rehearsals because like I got to perform in front of like a live band and I shared actually a moment with Stefan Macchio which I wish they aired on TV and like he played piano and like they wanted me to last like it was a last minute thing and I was so nervous because I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so on the spot. They're like, yeah, can you sing all of me? And I was like, sure. And she was like, yeah, can you play that on piano? And I'm like, I need to figure out the chords. So then it was like mind blowing that like I came up with something
Right.
and like they were in front of me, so there was so much pressure. But then like, you know, I played it once and then Stefan like kind of saved me because like I was, you know, I was still, you know, I was shaking and I was like so nervous and like I was like, oh gosh, like this is so last minute. But I mean, hey, I like the challenge. So yeah, we shared a moment together and I actually have it on my Instagram. There's like a picture of it with him and I'm like singing beside him and I thought that was just like a very awesome moment. Because they gathered around and there was like Boy George and Scott Borchetta. And so that was like a very nice moment and like actually it helped me calm down a little bit because I was so nervous.
Nice. And so, how do you go about sharing your talents with the world? How do you promote your music?
hmm Um, so with everything that's happening, you know, there's not a lot of opportunities to perform outside. So, but usually I'd, be asked to sing at weddings, and I'll do busking in the summertime when it's more like warmer, and that was always so much fun. And just like doing a lot of covers on social media, like all the trends, and yeah, just like really putting myself out there as much as I can in my community, on social media, anywhere that will help me be seen and just learn from those like many experience that I had with performing. Yeah.
Cool. And then so another thing that you're doing outside like the music
Mm-hmm.
realm is you're also studying for a certificate in as a community mental health worker. So
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit why you're developing this avenue,
Mm-hmm.
what mental health, I guess, means to you, and why it's, I guess, important that we give a voice to it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm working on like applying to go into to mu what do you call it? To community counseling. I've always been so, excuse me, I've always been so inspired by my mom because she's a nurse, and she deals with a lot of patients who are about to like, pass away. And so I thought like as a child that that was so inspiring that she, is helping the community and making her patients and like their families comfortable and doing the best she can to accommodate for them. And it's because being a nurse, and I mean I don't even know like how that's like, and I don't know how she does it, 12-hour shifts, day and night. So uh I was very inspired by that. And there was a class in my high school called peer counseling, and usually like high schools would have the option, and oh well, it's pretty much like a thing where, we have counselors in high school, and for course selections or just like talking about like mental health. But my teacher, Mrs. Aha, she came up with this like idea of having peer counselors, so talking to like any people who are like, in the class from, I think you can join the class at 15 or 16. So, because I know how intimidating it is to talk to an adult, somebody who's grown. So, giving that option to talk to somebody like that's around your age, it gave a lot of people the option to talk to somebody that was like around the age. So, and giving them like more um, comfort. So, from that moment, I decided that I really want to pursue um, that route because, you know, I think there's this stigma with, sharing your things and being honest with people. And it, like I said, it can be so dark, and um, with music, like I said, it's given me like a voice to speak up and to talk about certain things that I like never expected to talk about with people, because people can be so judgmental. And I want to be able to inspire the community like with my music and with counseling. And so I thought that would be a perfect fit for me uh, to pursue counseling, and also like, you know still write original songs and perform and sing and just in general. So I'm very looking forward to learning and going back to school, because it's been years since I've gone. So it's gonna be a very interesting journey, meeting new people and um, you know just really learning.
I love it, man. So, what's one piece of advice that you would, even at this stage, would you give to somebody that's struggling with mental health or anything else like that in a world that if you're not careful, it's quite isolated because of a lot of various restrictions, etc.
Mm-hmm. I would say to, you know, um, mental health is so important, and like during this time where we're isolated and we can't really see people, and we're supposed to be like, just within our, just isolated really. I would say that, because I know this is like a cheesy thing, but like, there's so many resources, and you can get into a place where you do feel alone, but I struggle with it, and I think we all do, and we all have our hardships in life, and I would want to encourage people to, like, go to counseling or do something you're really passionate about and that you believe in, that gives you the confidence, and makes you feel good, because music has done that for me. So um it's, yeah, like giving me a voice and a platform. And I would say just like self-care is important. Take time to like maybe do something, go for a walk, um, just have a breath of fresh air, do something that you enjoy doing. It could be maybe as simple as, maybe taking like a hot bath, or
I love hot baths.
yeah, they're everything. I love it too. And, maybe exercising, but I know like during this time I've been a little like slacking with that with exercise. But, even if it's just walking, connecting with people that care about you, um, people who give you that support and positivity. Um, and yeah, just know that like, as much as because I can understand like feeling alone and feeling misunderstood by people, that we all go through it all, and life is not easy, and we just have to find what works, because everything and everybody feels things differently, and reacts differently. So it really just depends on the person. So like counseling, going into like an art, a physical activity. But I think that, there's like a song called Hero by Mariah Carey, and that song is a song that I look up to, that I when I'm really down, or like When You Believe by um, Whitney and Mariah, that duet. Um, so just, I think you have to know your purpose, and it's hard because sometimes like I can feel like, what is my purpose? What am I meant to do for the world, And like I said, music is a saving grace, and it's given me so much light in my life. And so just really believing in yourself and telling yourself constantly that, you're worth it.
Nice, man. And then so finally, like, what's next for you? What are you working towards in 2021
I'm
and beyond?
working. Thank you. Well, I'm working on new music. I want to release an EP, and hoping to like start school too, and just continuing to love myself, challenging myself with new, experiences in life, because it does give us, sometimes some challenges, but it makes us stronger. So, just continuing to love and grow from the experience that I endure, and continuing to be with people like my family and friends, and just, sharing my love for singing, because it really does mean a lot to me, and I want to be able to inspire people and let people know that anything is possible if you put your heart into it, heart and soul into it.
Love it, man. And thank you so much for being on the Tea with Mike show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So, guys, this was another episode of the Tea with Mike show with Raymond Salgado. I hope you took a ton of value from this conversation. if you got any value whatsoever, definitely leave a comment so we can hear we can hear your feedback and how it made you feel. So that's all we got time for. If you want to watch other episodes or listen, depending on how this is coming into your algorithms, then go ahead and do so. Thanks, Raymond.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's the Tea with Mike show.